Hello. TS Eliot, Christianity and Culture. It's one of the few books I've read twice. In 1987 when I left the Watchtower, and 2016. Read it again. T.S. Eliot was someone I met in high school. My first acquaintance with him was in high school poetry or literature class. Do we still study poetry in high school? All I knew at the time, so I'd be about 15 years old, was the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock and The Wasteland. And both of those poems are, of course, memorable for their dark vision of modern man. The ennui and meaninglessness of life in the 1920s and late teens when the youth of Great Britain and Europe were living in the wake of World War I's desolations. I didn't learn till decades later, when I was well in my 30s, that later in life, T.S. Eliot had become a Christian. So this voice that was so famous as the living voice of an alienated generation in the 1920s was by now, in the 1980s, known for his judgments upon the disintegration of European culture. This book, Christianity and Culture, is actually the combination of two older short books called The Idea of a Christian Society and Notes Towards the Definition of Culture. They are his mature thoughts, just as he passed the age of 50, on the disintegration of Europe just before the outbreak of World War II. Listen to what he says about what can save Europe. Toward the end of the book, he says, there can be no European culture if the several countries are isolated from each other. I add now that there can be no European culture if these countries are reduced to identity. We need variety in unity. Not the unity of organization, but the unity of nature. By culture, then, I mean first of all what the anthropologists mean, the way of life of a particular people living together in one place. That culture is made visible in their arts, in their social system, in their habits and customs, in their religion. The dominant force in creating a common culture between peoples, each of which has its distinct culture, is religion. Please do not at this point make a mistake in anticipating my meaning. This is not a religious talk. I am not setting out to convert anybody. I'm simply stating a fact. I'm not so much concerned with the communion of Christian believers today. I'm talking about the common tradition of Christianity which has made Europe what it is, and about the common cultural elements which this common Christianity has brought with it. If Asia were converted to Christianity tomorrow, it would not thereby become a part of Europe. It is in Christianity that our arts have developed. It is in Christianity that the laws of Europe have, until recently, been rooted. It is against a background of Christianity that all our thought has significance. An individual European may not believe that the Christian faith is true, and yet what he says and makes and does will all spring out of his heritage of Christian culture and depend upon that culture for its meaning. Only a Christian culture could have produced a Voltaire or a Nietzsche. Both of those, of course, famous unbelievers. I do not believe that the culture of Europe could survive the complete disappearance of the Christian faith. And I am convinced of that, not merely because I am a Christian myself, but as a student of social biology. If Christianity goes, the whole of our culture goes. Then you must start painfully again. And you cannot put on a new culture ready-made. You must wait for the grass to grow, to feed the sheep, to give the wool out of which your new coat will be made. You must pass through many centuries of barbarism. We should not live to see the new culture, nor would our great-great-great-grandchildren. And if we did, not one of us would be happy in it. So only a common Christian culture, says Eliot, will prevent a new age of barbarism. What do you think T.S. Eliot would have made of our postmodernism and multiculturalism?
You're asking me? Oh, you want me to end it?